Hey there, and welcome to Money Zone for Women, the podcast where it's not just about the money, it's about what money empowers you to do. I'm your host, Cami Zonin, and I created this show to help women feel confident, educated, and empowered by their finances. So whether you're working within a plan, starting to invest, or just learning how to keep more of what you earn, you are in the right place. So grab your coffee, get settled in, let's talk money, mindset, and making moves. This is Money Zone for Women, and we're just getting started. Hey there, and welcome to Money Zone for Women, the podcast where it's not just about the money, it's about what money empowers you to do. I'm your host, Cami Zonin, and today's show is extra special. I have with me today Kimberly Baxi. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Baxi.
Oh, sorry,
Baxi.
I'm sorry. This is why I did not become a teacher. I'm sorry. I'm joined here today by Kimberly Baxi, a passionate money coach and founder of Debt Free Flagler Financial Services. Since 2008, Kimberly has been helping hundreds of families across the U.S. build strong financial foundations, helping them get out of debt, protect their future, and create a real financial freedom. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed by credit cards, unsure where to start saving, or just want to make better money moves, this episode is for you. Grab your coffee, take a breath, and let's talk money, mindset, and making moves. Kimberly, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start out, and I have a couple of questions for you. But again, I just want to thank you for taking the time out today to join us.
Well, thank you so much for the invite, Cami. It is definitely an honor.
So, gosh, there's so many things I could ask you, and so many things I think about that I could have done differently. So I was really excited to have you on today, so we could hear it from somebody else's side. So let's start back at the very beginning. What inspired you to start Debt Free Flagler?
Excellent question. And it really started years ago when I was very young, and I just realized I was just very ignorant financially. Like, I went to a private school, got a great education learning about algebra, geometry, history, Shakespeare, but nothing about practical stuff, money. And back then, I'm going to date myself, back then, it was the only way to build any kind of wealth was to visit an advisor. And I remember being 16 years old, and my mom gave me $2,000 in the bank account, which is a lot of money back then. And I knew from the news, like, you got to invest, you got to put the money in the market. But I didn't know who to talk to.
Or what is the market?
And what is the market? So, but all I knew is, okay, you want to be rich or wealthy, you got to work with a stockbroker or investment advisor, which I had no idea. I'm 16. And there was no avenue. And what did you think I did with the money? I spent it.
You went
So
shopping.
I went shopping and always had that thought, oh, I'll buy those shoes. Oh, I can work my part-time job and get that money back. But of course, that's never easy as it sounds like, because then you're always like buying another thing and another thing. And sure enough, I spent more money than probably I made, and I did. And so those habits were ingrained, and I just felt like there's no help for a young woman to learn this. And we didn't have Robinhood or TikTok or anything to give either the information or like a platform to invest, Acorn, all those stuff
No
that
chat
younger people,
GPT to ask.
or Chat GPT. So none of the technology. Okay. I mean, really, I'm so old that the internet was just starting out when I was in high school. Okay. So, and then I just realized those lack of skills, lack of attitude just carried on. And I was like a baby in the world of taking care of finances, personal finance. And of course, those bad habits turned into too much credit card spending as a young person in my 20s. And it took about 6 years to pay it off because I just spent too much money than what I made. So a lot of hard lessons got to that. And then another pivotal point was once I got a little older in the 20s, okay, I now introduced myself to actual advisors. And then I realized a lot of them are male and they're older, which is very intimidating when you're a younger female. I can't relate to that person. And unfortunately, one of the advice I was given turned out to be a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, no.
And
Even now you truly have no confidence, right? You're already in there nervous
yep,
in front of these men and you don't want to feel, gosh, I feel like an idiot asking these questions, but now you got, gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah. So just um, that was a very difficult lesson, painful
Sure.
financially. Um, and I just had to just grow up, make a decision, and to say, okay, I need to be the adults. I can't be ignorant child. I can't be whimsical about my money. I really need to take responsibility. And so that started the journey for me to say, okay, let me learn, um, talk to credible educators about money, and I got financial licenses. So I got my life insurance license, I got my investment license, I got a mortgage license, but just more from a way of learning for me, how does money work? And that was important for my own journey because um, it gave me a purpose and a passion to say, hey, if I was in this situation, I'm sure other women, other families are in this predicament of, hey, who do you talk to? Where do you start? You know, and not get into that cycle of getting into debt, trying to pay off your mortgage, trying to save for the future. It's very overwhelming. So that's,
Yeah.
in a sense, that started my journey of um, coming to today, Debt Free Flagler, being passionate to help women, helping especially younger families who don't have access to credible, personable people to help guide them in that journey.
Sure. Yeah, I know we're talking a lot about women and it's not just about women. I mean, this podcast is, but I mean, you do help so many families and that in turn really helps the community as well. And doing that. And, I feel like, the younger families starting out can be a lot like women in this journey where they're like, gosh, a little embarrassed. Maybe they don't want to say anything. They think their friends are doing so much better than them, right? We have
Hmm.
a habit of we like to compare ourselves. We're humans to our friends and our neighbors, and we really shouldn't. I think you kind of answered, but one of the things I was going to ask you is, what do you think is the money habit that you learned or relearned, or maybe a one that you unlearned? You think was the most helpful and getting you out of that, okay, that credit card debt. I think you said it was about 5 or 6 years that it took you to
Hmm.
pay that off. So what was that new habit that you started that made that difference?
Great question. I'll answer with 2 points. One is an attitude, and then one is like the tactical part. So the attitude I had to shift was from being a victim to the circumstance. And I know people don't like that, and I didn't think I was a victim, but there's a lot of circumstances that was at the time why I racked up credit card debt. Um, and I just had to just stop and just self-assess, saying, hey, what is it that I want for my future? Do I want to have that continued stress and anxiety? Or should I have that growth mindset of, hey, what can I learn from what the mistakes I did, and whatever happened is what happened, but where can I start from now and grow baby steps of, okay, I'm not the child, I'm not ignorant. What can I do as a logical adult? And say, hey, I'm in control. No one's going to save me. Um, and will I be a better person in the future? So that was kind of the mindset. And at the time, I didn't have children yet. So it was important to not have that debt before I started my family.
Sure, sure. And then
Okay.
because then it snowballs from there.
Yes. And then the tactical part was the strategic part was, okay, hey, learn from other money uh, coaches at the time. There's like Susie Orman at the time was very popular. It's just like, hey, just look at your expense um, and really understand what you need, what you want, and just understand there's a legacy that's far ahead. And that's hard to do when you're in your 20s. What would you imagine your life? But now the lessons that I learned in my 20s, I have now a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I now told them, hey, avoid that credit card trap and really gave them those lessons like, hey, you got to start saving some money. Do you really need that expensive purse? Do you want a car or do you want a purse? Those decisions. And those are very challenging for a young person. But that is the legacy of some of the hardships I learned, that it's not just me, but what can I do to help the future generation have a great, solid foundation for their personal finances.
Especially when, out there, TikTok and Instagram, there's the girl math thing, right? I did a little clip of video on it. It's pretty funny, kind of making
Yeah.
fun of it, but saying, gosh, I think I pretty much invented girl math when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, I was doing all of the things you mentioned, only
Mm-hmm.
I didn't until much later in life find that path. So
Yes.
I like how you said that it was the habit, it was twofold. It was mindset, it was your attitude, I think is the first word you said, in mindset, right? That goes hand in hand. And then it was tactical, right? Then you had to put a plan into action. It was noticing and recognizing, oh gosh, where do I really want to be? What does that really look like for me? And then not just wishing it to happen, right? A goal is just
Yes.
a thought if it's not written down. So, and then you
Yes.
can put something to action. And I think that is so important, right? You can
Yes.
go and talk to all the people you want and learn all that you wanted, but if you didn't put that into action, you still just have information that you've done nothing with.
Absolutely. And really, and that's the key, Cami. It's taking that knowledge and putting it to action. And even if it's a baby step, that's better than nothing.
One step at a time, right? One
Once,
in front of the other.
yes.
That's great. So, and now this leads me into my last question that I have, and then I'm going to just see if there's anything else you want to add. But you actually started to talk about it, but how are you then planning in all of this, then planning for long-term financial security, or how does one plan for long-term financial security, not just, okay, we're getting out of debt and now, okay, now what's that next step?
Great question. I like to use that analogy of a house. So when you build a house, you have a foundation, and then you have your walls, and then you have a roof. And then what I've noticed is, especially with the advent of TikTok, you know, that you get great information 1 minute at a time. But if you, which leads me to the analogy of a house, yeah, you're seeing one brick at a time information of finance. But if you don't structure it well for your house, then your house won't be stable. So you just want to make sure all the information you're learning, that you do lay it down properly so that you have a nice stable house that doesn't blow away or fall down when there's a big gust of wind. And a big gust of wind financial would be some kind of unexpected devastation. And so,
Catastrophe, that things happen, the unexpected expenses that we all should expense if we're human, should
ab
expect.
Absolutely. So I try to keep it very simple because I know we're all busy trying to our livelihoods. We have children. We have, if you've got young children, you're taking them to their sports classes and stuff like that. But you have to kind of look at a bigger picture of number one, especially parents. Yes, you want to invest in your children, but your children will leave you one day and it's up to you. So really make sure your own house is strong, because this is an unpopular opinion, but children can find ways to pay for college on their own.
I agree with that statement so much. I tell clients on a regular basis, you can borrow for college, you can't borrow for retirement.
Exactly.
So glad you
Exactly.
said that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is not popular with clients. You're absolutely right,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it is true.
Yes, and I'm so glad you agree, Cami, because I think there's a lot of advisors who really push for retirement and college. But if I had to choose and prioritize, I would say for most people, saving for retirement is a bigger chunk or a higher priority. Okay. And that gives responsibility to the children to be responsible for getting scholarships, getting that loan, etc. Okay. Of course, I'm not endorsing taking out like a huge loan, but something manageable. So in terms of building a strong financial foundation, I say the first thing is make sure that you are not in huge credit card debt. So if you all your money is spent paying off your debt, that is not a good place to be. Make sure that you have some short-term savings, um, midterm, medium savings, like goals, I'm sorry. And then a long-term goal would be your retirement. But short-term would be like, hey, if your tires, I had a flat tire now, do you have some money that you can fix it? So for some people, that is a challenge. So
And
definitely,
that's how you avoid credit card debt, is if you
yes,
have that savings for when those things pop up, then you can say,
yes.
"Gosh, I've got that in my savings, separate from your." Do you recommend that that's maybe kept separate from your regular checking where you pay your bills? That's something that's emergencies.
Yes, that's a great point. Yeah, have that emergency fund separate from your regular checking and savings that you don't touch, you don't look, but you have a place where, hey, something happened with the water heater, the tire, that you have some money that you don't want to gravitate towards that credit card. So, and back to what you were saying, small baby steps, even if you put away 25, $50 a month, it's better than nothing. And of course, it's a percentage of your salary, but that is a great baby step to start
To
with.
start somewhere, sure, you have to
Yeah,
start somewhere. Don't
yeah,
start at what you, where you would like to be. Just start and eventually you'll get there.
right. So after establishing like that emergency fund, I always say if you have dependents and you're young and someone's depending on your income, I always recommend making sure you have very good life insurance, just in case the unexpected happens, because I think a lot of families get caught up to forget that that's important. And so, and I've seen families devastated once the main breadwinner passes away unexpectedly, and there's no savings because they didn't have an emergency fund. That it really puts the family in financial devastation. So that's
True.
very important. Um, and then the other part is part of building a very strong financial house after you make sure you keep your debt manageable, you get proper life insurance, is to make sure you have a life living will. And I think a lot of advisors, and I'm not sure if that's talked a lot on TikTok a lot. Um,
I don't know, because I'll tell you, my younger generation clients will say, yeah, I know I need to do it, but it's just not, they're more interested in the Roth IRA and like the things that they're hearing like that. I think it's something honestly that is overlooked.
Yes. And I like to think of that if the base is life insurance of a house, a financial house, and then you have getting out of debt is another goal. I think the roof of your financial house should be making sure you have that living will so that if something happens, that money stays with that family and it doesn't go into, unfortunately, probate.
Right, right, to have a will, and that I always recommend also the medical power of attorney who's going to make decisions for you. I
Yes.
think that analogy of the house, I'm a visual, very visual
Hmm.
person, so I get that makes sense to me. And then all the other things you fill up inside are the
Yes.
rooms, the walls, the furniture. I love that.
Yes. Yes. And then part of your house, you have your base and you have your roof, the legal protection, whatever you put inside that house, which will grow. The furniture would be, are you putting away money towards your Roth IRA or your 401k, whatever your investment account that's appropriate for you? Are you putting money into it and funding it so that whatever's growing in your house, your financial house, everything is protected because you made sure you have your power of attorney, you have your living will, you have proper life insurance, and you're controlling your debt. And then, hey, any extra money, throw in college savings for your kids. So,
Sure, those are the goals you set up, though. It's so important to have, your money assigned to where it's going. Um, Gosh, I wish I would have known you when I was, when I was younger, because I certainly did all of the things that you're saying, and I worked and I didn't save because my parents didn't do that, and I didn't
mhm,
know that until I was older. And I love the way you really broke it down. If I, gosh, was even back when I was 15, 16 hearing this, that really would have resonated with me. So gosh, thank you so much for turning your story into how you can help other people. And it's not as scary. It's actually quite fun, in my opinion, to take a look at where you are today and say, gosh, I'm never going to be able to, save what I want or get that house, but you can. You just have to, what is it you said before? It's mindset,
mhm,
and then a tactical approach, a plan. You just got to
mhm.
change your mindset and the plan. Oh my goodness, I really love that. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you, or maybe you feel is super important for folks, families, women out there today to know, to change that mindset, to pick up the phone and or shoot you an email to say, hey, listen, I need some help, and can you help me?
Absolutely, Cami. I really appreciate what you do for your clients and having this platform of having that education because I think what's really important is connect with other people because there's other people who have that same journey, unfortunately. But when we unite with other people who are very like-minded, that who are, want to be helpful to get you to the next space in your life, there's lots of resources, which is why I am such a pleasure to be on this podcast because you give such valuable information that I want this to be a place, a safe place for people to say, "Hey, other people went through this. Oh my God, they survived. And then these are some practical tips that I can apply and use. And then I can join with other people who are going through that same journey. And that's, something very special that what you bring to the podcast world today.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think I said something earlier about the comparing and all, and right, and we can get so caught up in that and thinking, gosh, well, I'm gonna be like my neighbor or my friend, and I don't want them to know that maybe I'm not. And I think that, right, having that community, that place where you can go and there's like-minded and all for that greater good and the plan, and I think it really comes down to just having some dream big, set some goals. That's what I did when I started this podcast. I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? But I know that, people really want to hear this information. And when I'm out and I hear conversations and where people are getting their information, and a lot of it is misinformation. And
Yes.
I want to just jump in, and I don't, because it's not my place and I don't know the whole story, right? So of course I'm not going to do that, but I hear it so many times, and I thought, well, this is where I can maybe have my platform. And I thought, gosh, who better to invite on, is to have Kimberly, who, we work, gosh, really what we do is so similar. And I really was so excited to have you on. Actually, as my first podcast guest. So
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you for taking the time today, and we really appreciate it. And can you tell our audience how they can find you, if they need some help, how they can reach you?
Fantastic. They can call me. My phone number is 248-835-2732. And I would love to have just a simple conversation, because my free offer is 15 minutes by Zoom or by phone or in person. I can kind of give you a game plan of at least get out of debt at least 5 years sooner. Because if you try to do it on your own, it's going to take a lot longer, and you're going to be frustrated. And I know it's embarrassing, but there is plans and ways to reduce that anxiety and make that faster. So I do offer that simple consultation, that if you're overwhelmed by debt, I can give you a quick plan, and there's no obligation. It's my gift to anyone that's listening, that a lot of women have helped me in my journey become stronger financially, and I want to make sure that I leave the world a little better by imparting that same information of saying, hey, I can do it, you can do it, here's this information, apply it.
Well, I love that. And thank you for offering that. It's 15 minutes, and gosh, I'll tell you folks, you can really be amazed at what you'll learn in just 15 minutes. How many of us stop when we're scrolling through social media and take those silly personality quizzes, or what animal are you most like? And right, I see them all the time, right? So maybe
Yes.
that's about 30 seconds, but still you'll get so much more information out of this. And well, gosh, this was so amazing. Again, thank you so much. And to our listeners, remember, your money and your financial situation does not define your worth. It's really how you manage it, how you transform your life, the person that you show up every day, that really dictates your worth. So don't be afraid to reach out. If there'll be some slides at the end, we'll have Kimberly's information, so you can reach out to her. I know her personally, and she's a super, super lady. That's why I couldn't wait to have her on. And she really is changing lives and making a difference in the community. And if every single one of us did that just once a day, every single day, just think of the amazing world we would live in. Well, come back next week for more tools on how to help you. And remember, Money Zone for Women, it's not just about the money, but it's about how money can empower you to do the things you want to. Thanks again for listening, and I hope to see you next week.